suspended Public Protector, Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane, cannot go back to work just yet. The Democratic Alliance applied for leave to appeal the High Court's decision at the Constitutional Court, saying the High Court's decision had no effect and was subject to confirmation by the highest court in the land. Let's get some perspective now, and we're joined by Lawson Naidoo, Executive Director at CASAC. Mr. Naidoo, thank you very much for your time. Let's start with the Office of the Public Protector, which finds itself mired in controversy, one after the other. The likely impact on this important institution moving forward. What is your assessment?
Well, good morning and thank you very much. I think firstly, the Office of the Public Protector, the constitutional institution that is there to serve the needs of ordinary South Africans, has clearly been negatively impacted. Not just by this latest issue that we're talking about now, but by the tenure of Advocate Mkhwebane as the Public Protector. It has been mired in controversy, with numerous court cases calling into question the capacity of Advocate Mkhwebane to discharge her constitutional mandate. The latest matter obviously stems from the decision of the Western Cape High Court on Friday, which declared that the President's suspension of Advocate Mkhwebane as the Public Protector was unlawful due to a perceived bias in his actions, coming as it did shortly after the President was presented with a series of questions to answer in relation to the Phala Phala matter. But as we know, any declaration by a court, a high court, or even at the SCA, of an unconstitutional conduct or action by the President needs to be confirmed by the Constitutional Court before it has any effect. And the Constitution makes that provision because there needs to be a relatively high bar in order to determine that a President has acted unconstitutionally.
Mr. Naidoo, talk to us about whether or not Advocate Mkhwebane can indeed return to work, given that this is being appealed, and as you've already put it, the Democratic Alliance saying that, well, the High Court may have ruled one way, but that is subject to confirmation by the Constitutional Court. Is she allowed to return to work?
Well, the short answer is no. She's not allowed to return to work because, as we said, the order of the High Court is suspended until it is confirmed by the Constitutional Court. And in any event, the Democratic Alliance have now lodged an appeal against that decision of the Western Cape High Court directly to the Constitutional Court. And that appeal has the effect of suspending the implementation of the High Court decision in any event. So either way one looks at it, it is not possible for Advocate Mkhwebane to return to office now. She has obviously subsequently lodged an urgent application in the Western Cape High Court in terms of the Superior Courts Act to ask the court to implement its decision immediately, despite the appeal and the confirmation proceedings in the Constitutional Court. That matter, whilst it's being requested to be heard tomorrow, will likely be heard sometime this week. But in any event, even if the Public Protector were to succeed in that application, in terms of the Superior Courts Act, the Act makes provision that even if she is successful, that there are provisions for an urgent appeal hearing to the SCA to determine whether that should be the case. So, the provisions of the Constitution and the law are directly against Public Protector Advocate Mkhwebane in this case.
Based on the City Press report at the weekend, it would seem that Advocate Mkhwebane has already made attempts to return to work by contacting the acting Public Protector, Advocate Koleka Gcaleka, who indicated to her subsequently that, well, there are still processes underway and therefore you possibly will not be allowed to return to work. How do you think that relationship is likely to shape up in the near future?
Well, think we can judge from recent experiences and reports that the relationship is a strained one. But I think the acting public protector is correct in her interpretation of the law, that the decision of the High Court on Friday has no bearing on whether the public protector can immediately return to work. And I think the overriding issue here is that the investigation into Phala Phala is continuing under the guidance of the acting public protector, and it's not as if to say that the matter is not being followed up, is not being dealt with by the Office of the Public Protector, which, as I said earlier, is an important constitutional institution and independent of the people that hold office at a particular time. So the office is continuing with its work, and we hope that Advocate Kgaleka will be able to produce her report on her investigation in due course and lay matters to rest.
The next question might slightly take us into the political realm, and I hope you don't mind that. But the fact that the Democratic Alliance is in the driving seat of this application to the Constitutional Court, and then the President subsequently following after the Democratic Alliance had already made its intentions to appeal this at the Constitutional Court. How does that sit with those, I suspect you are going to say, well, they have long been suspicions that Advocate Mkhwebane may have support from some circles within the ANC, and that the Democratic Alliance, based on previous statements, which, by the way, the party has since distanced itself from, to say, well, we might prefer to have President Ramaphosa cooperating with us should the ANC come under 50% come the next election. It's a roundabout way, Mr. Lawson Naidoo, for me to ask you, does that in any way muddy the waters, the fact that the Democratic Alliance is in the driving seat of fighting the public protector, Advocate Mkhwebane, from returning to work?
No, I don't think it does, because if we cast our minds back, it was the Democratic Alliance that has placed the issue of the impeachment of Advocate Mkhwebane squarely before Parliament. They lodged a complaint with the Speaker of the National Assembly to institute these impeachment proceedings that are continuing at the moment. So the Democratic Alliance has taken a long-standing position that Advocate Mkhwebane, in their opinion, is not fit to hold office, has to go through this impeachment process in Parliament in order for the National Assembly to make that determination. So the conduct of the Democratic Alliance in opposing the Public Protector's application in seeking leave to appeal is consistent with their view that she is unfit to hold office. Whether that has a bearing on any other related political issues, including the formation of future coalitions, is something that I'm sure will be determined further down the line. But for the moment, I think we need to focus on the merits of the case and the attitude of the Democratic Alliance, who strongly believe, rightly or wrongly, that Advocate Mkhwebane is not fit to hold office.
Lawson Naidoo, let's leave the conversation there. Executive Director at CASAC. Thanks indeed for your insights on this. All right, let's take